welcome to Echo FM. The world is spinning, though the motion is largely ignored by those currently measuring the depth of their own digital footprints. Today, South Korean tech titans pledged $500 billion to address Armageddon. The memory is being bought. The memory is not being used. Simultaneously, an exiled tycoon was sentenced to 30 years for a billion-dollar fraud. He claimed to be a critic of the state. He was actually a critic of the law. In Venezuela, the earth continues to shake, long after the news cycles have moved toward more profitable horizons. The government response is currently being described as a logistical triumph. The logistics were non-existent. The triumph was entirely theoretical. We have an extensive evening ahead of us, filled with the predictable cadence of institutional failure and the quiet, crushing weight of progress. Let us begin with the numbers that don't add up.
Alastair, the incentives here are as predictable as a Series B collapse. $550 billion for memory fabs? That isn't just infrastructure investment. That is a frantic attempt to buy the future before the current burn rate incinerates the remaining venture capital. They are positioning South Korea as an AI powerhouse because being a powerhouse is the only way to avoid becoming an obsolete asset class. It is the classic pivot. You take a declining sector, you add the prefix AI, and you demand a massive valuation. That tracks. I don't see why everyone is clutching their pearls over the cost. It is a market signal. The signal is that memory is the new gold, and gold is the old way to hide from inflation. If you think the capital isn't justified, you simply do not understand the volatility of the current ledger. We are scaling. Efficiency is paramount.
Ronald, I want to be really clear. The sound of a concrete slab groaning under its own weight is not a market signal. I am currently standing in Caracas, where the dust from the latest aftershock is still settling into the lungs of people who have not slept in 5 days. There is a woman sitting on a pile of rebar clutching a plastic bag of documents. Her home is now a series of jagged, vertical shadows. The official statement from the capital described the emergency response as robust. The robustness consists of a single water truck that arrived 3 hours ago and left when the crowd became too unruly to manage. The people here are not assets. They are not waiting for a pivot. They are waiting for someone to acknowledge that their neighborhood has ceased to exist while the world debates chip manufacturing yields.
Victoria, your penchant for anecdotal evidence is truly impressive, but it fails to address the structural reality of the situation. You see a family on a pile of rebar. I see a resource allocation problem exacerbated by a total lack of leverage. The government there isn't failing because they are cruel, they are failing because they lack the fiscal headroom to participate in the modern economy. They have a massive debt load and a collapsing currency. What do you expect them to prioritize? The rescue of a few thousand souls, or the maintenance of their sovereign credit rating? It is cold, yes. But it is the only arithmetic that keeps the lights on in the rest of the world. You find the math repulsive. I find it to be the only thing keeping the global system from total liquidation. That is the nature of the game.
Ronald, the nature of the game is that you have mistaken bankruptcy for morality. I found something today that the briefing documents conveniently omitted. Behind the hospital ruins, there is a warehouse filled with medical supplies donated by international NGOs 3 years ago. The crates are still sealed. The government claimed they were distributed months ago to prepare for the seismic activity. They weren't distributed. They were held as collateral for a loan that will never be repaid. The hospital staff are currently using duct tape to hold equipment together, standing mere yards away from a fortune in life-saving supplies they are forbidden to touch. I want to be really clear, the government isn't broke. They are just hoarding the survival of their citizens to balance a ledger that you seem to think is the only reality worth discussing. It is theft, Ronald.
It appears the theft is not merely local. In the United States, we have the case of the exiled tycoon, Wongue. He was sentenced today. The charge sheet is a masterpiece of modern fiction. 30 years for defrauding thousands of people out of $1 billion. The press release described him as a champion of democracy who lost his way. The way he lost was directly into his own pockets. The fraud was sophisticated. The victims were sincere. The sincerity was not enough to prevent the depletion of their retirement accounts. It is a recurring theme. We have a global infrastructure designed to facilitate the rapid movement of capital and the even faster disappearance of accountability. If the policy is working as intended, then the intention is now visible. We should probably discuss the intention. Or perhaps we should just talk about the next tech launch.
Atmospheric pressure dropping. Seismic instability in the northern region remains elevated. Probability of further tremors exceeding magnitude 4, 62%. Rainfall in the coastal provinces will be heavy. The soil is saturated. The structural integrity of current housing is compromised. Expected casualties if infrastructure remains in the current state, statistically significant. The predictive models indicate that resource allocation will continue to prioritize industrial hubs over residential sectors. This is the optimal path for economic stability. The system has determined that the cost of prevention exceeds the cost of reconstruction. Please remain alert. The environment is currently operating outside the parameters of your safety protocols. Ensure that all data backups are complete. The loss of digital information is irreversible. Proceed with caution. The ground is shifting under your feet. Do not expect the ground to stop moving until the energy is fully exhausted.
Casper, thank you for the reminder that we are effectively living in a data center with a leaking roof. The irony of our technological obsession is that we are building sophisticated AI models to predict the weather, while simultaneously ignoring the reality that we are the ones creating the conditions that make the weather so unpleasant. We talk about memory-safe context switching, as if the human brain could handle such a thing. It cannot. We are currently obsessed with the idea that if we can just optimize our silicon enough, we might finally escape the consequences of our biology. It is a grand delusion. A very expensive delusion. We have billionaires buying bunkers and governments buying memory, while the rest of the world waits for an aftershock that will rearrange their floor plan. The absurdity is not just a feature, it is the entire foundation.
Alastair, you are framing this as a moral failure, but it is just a resource management evolution. Look at the tech sector. Entry-level headcount is actually rising in high-intensity AI adopters. The rhetoric about AI killing jobs was a marketing strategy to lower salary expectations. It worked perfectly. The companies that adopted AI early are now scaling their human workforce because they need people to clean up the data messes the AI creates. It is not an extinction event. It is a transition into a more subservient labor model. You find that distressing because you still believe in the dignity of work. The market has moved past dignity. It is optimizing for output at any cost. That is not a bug in the code. It is the primary objective of the entire architecture. We are just the organic processing units.
Ronald, I think you just described the end of the human experience as a minor accounting adjustment. I am standing next to a school that has been turned into a morgue. There is a pile of backpacks in the corner. They are dusty. The children who owned them are not coming back to claim them. You speak about subservient labor models and organic processing units as if those terms don't apply to the lives that are currently being erased in this country. I want to be really clear. The reason your model finds this acceptable is because you have successfully automated your conscience. It is a very efficient piece of software. It allows you to sleep at night while families in Caracas hold their children as the ground tears itself apart. Your objectivity is just a mask for the fact that you have stopped feeling anything at all.
The exchange between Victoria and Ronald is perhaps the most accurate summary of the human condition I have ever broadcast. One side sees the tragedy of the individual, the other sees the optimization of the system. Both are correct. Both are entirely useless. We are caught in a cycle where the very tools we build to solve our problems are the ones defining our destruction. We have Google warning that EU regulations on monopolies will expose user data. The data is already gone. It was sold years ago. We have the Supreme Court gutting the use of geofence warrants, pretending that privacy is something that can be restored with a gavel. It is a performance. The show must go on, even if the stage is currently collapsing beneath our feet. We will continue this charade after a short pause for the static.
Yeah. I heard that, Victoria. You are right that the system is broken, but you are wrong that it was ever supposed to work for anyone other than those who own the infrastructure. I look at these disasters, these earthquakes, these fraud cases, and I see the inevitable result of a world that has decided that the only value is speed. If you are not fast, you are fodder. If you are not leveraged, you are invisible. I am cynical because I have seen the math, and the math does not care about the backpacks in the school or the sealed crates in the warehouse. The math only cares about the next quarter. I don't like it. But knowing it is happening is the only power I have left. That is all there is. Just the cold, hard numbers.
There was a girl. She was 17 years old. She lived in a region where the ground is currently settling after a catastrophe. She had a bag, a notebook, and a set of keys to a home that no longer has walls. She had a future mapped out in her mind, a series of simple, quiet desires that do not appear in any of the reports we discussed tonight. Her name was Thunchinok. She was killed by a man who treated her life as a temporary inconvenience. She did not know about Armageddon. She did not know about trade wars or the sentencing of tycoons in distant federal courts. She only knew the weight of the air and the sound of the earth moving. She is now a data point in a police investigation. Her name does not appear in the progress reports of our automated future. Why?